Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Horse Tourneys Spa and Surf Showdown show, round 3 of the 2021 Tourney Triple on Horse Tourneys. I'm Scott Carson, founder of Sport of Kings, and I'm here with my co-host, Chris Larmey. Chris, this is the biggest and best tourney on Horse Tourneys' schedule, with a top prize of $235,000 and a record-setting prize pool of $659,000.
That is a lot of cash on the line, and I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, we've got quality racing from Del Mar and Saratoga. Got the best contest players out there, all going head-to-head, trying to capture
I'm getting feedback. Sorry, I'm getting an echo.
I'm fine, too. I think it's on your end, Scott.
I don't have YouTube open. Okay, we're good. Sorry about that.
All right, so we're looking forward to
yeah. Sorry about the second time out of 3 in the tourney triple that we had an echo problem at the very beginning, and I apologize for that. That was my fault.
All right, well, let's go on. Let's move on and talk about this race where they're in the paddock right now before this 7th race.
Let's look at the leaderboard first and see what's going on. And the leader of the contest is Anthony Matera. He is dominating. He's got a $54 lead over John Kennedy. Now, Anthony Matera is in a great position to win the tourney triple because he finished 3rd in the first leg, the Flow Cow face-off, and he finished 8th in the second leg, the Players' Championship, and he's got a pretty commanding lead in this one. So not only does he have the lead in this contest, but he's got a substantial lead in the tourney triple.
Yeah, we've seen this before. Anthony had a big lead in the Flow Cow contest after the first day. So maybe he's learned something from that experience, and we'll see if he can, hold on to this lead this time, because he's been near the top of the leaderboard every time we've had one of these live streams of the Horse Tourneys contest. So he's consistently good, and he's definitely the guy to beat. And he's off to a red hot start.
Now, Anthony hit almost every price horse that there was today. The one that he didn't hit was Saratoga's second race, where a horse named, actually, I don't have that. Oh, yeah, Flint Ridge hit at 11-1 in the second race. So he didn't have that one, but he did have a nice place price on Ubiquitous in Saratoga second. And then he hit a nice place price with Amistad in the Saratoga 7th. And then he really just went into overdrive. He hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 8 races in a row, including High Oak, who was 10-1 in Saratoga 9th, and Got Stormy, who was 12-1 in the Saratoga 10th.
Yeah, that's about as hot as you can get. And now we'll see if he cools off and the rest of the field comes back to him, or if he can stay hot for the rest of today and throughout tomorrow. Still a long ways to go. I mean, we're not even halfway through. So no lead is insurmountable at this point. And the players that are, behind him, I think they just stick to their game plan and see what happens here. And there's some pretty familiar names on that leaderboard as well below Anthony. So it'll be real interesting to see how the last few races go today.
Well, we have a few sort of extra important names today to look at. In the 11th place is Dan Wild, who won the Players' Championship. And if he can get up to win, he's got a lot of ground to make up, but he still has a full day plus a little extra. He's going to win a $1 million bonus. So if he actually won the contest, he'd win about $1.25 million, which is pretty incredible. So that's Dan Wild. And then we have a few other guys. We have Scott Fiedler, who is the defending champion, and he's sitting in 28th. So he won about $232,000 last year. That was just the win money. He also had day money. And then if we keep on going, we go down to the second page, we're going to find Paul Sherman, who was the winner of the inaugural Spa and Surf Showdown, and he's in 52nd. And then Alan Levitt, I won't actually go there. I won't go, to the second to last page. Alan Levitt is sitting in about 224th. He got off to a very slow start, but it has picked a couple of small priced winners near in the last few races.
Yeah, and he kind of got off to a slow start at the time he won. He wasn't quite this slow, but he finished fast. So he and Anthony's more of a front runner, and Alan's more of the come from out of it type. Yeah,
so I think maybe we should switch to the live racing so we can talk about this Del Mar 7th race. There's 6 minutes to post. And I'm just flipping through. Strategy-wise, it's still early in the contest, so I'm thinking that you just want to pick whatever the best value horse that you can find here. What are you thinking in this race, Chris?
Yeah, I agree with you. No reason to get off your game plan yet. There's a lot of sharp firsters in here that with good workouts, so they're dangerous. But I tend to like horses with experience in these kind of races. And I think the 2-horse New Soy Fett is very interesting in here. His debut was on dirt, and it was actually the best race of his life. And then they tried him routing a couple times on turf. And now he cuts back to sprinting on the dirt again. So he's got the experience, and he's got a foundation and fitness. And I think that's a big advantage in a field like this. So, to me, that horse 15-1 morning line, they're betting he's getting some action at the windows. He's a 7, or she's, is it a he or a she? He's 7-1. I could probably float up to double digits at post time, but to me, the 2 New Soy Fett is probably the one I'd play in the contest.
All right, I am just I'm bringing up the entries on my screen, and I'm actually going to go with a bit of a price here. That horse is a pretty good price too at 7-1. I actually went with the 8 here. Who? Let me see my information on him. Okay, so this trainer is kind of a no-name trainer. He does have 1 win at Del Mar, Cesar D'Alba. He's using a bug rider, and what I like 2 very fast gate workouts. One is a 47.4 gate on July 24th, and a 47.0 gate on August 7th. Gets in light using a bug boy and Diego Herrera, and he's 2 for 7 in the money with this jock. So, fast workouts, low weight. This is the horse that I want.
Yeah, the other horse I was looking at, I agree, Fast Buck is another possibility. And then the 7-horse Naughty Nico is kind of a similar horse with the fast gate workout from kind of a low percentage barn that won't attract a lot of attention. And I think it might be the longest shot on the board. But that horse has some fast works and drew the outside. So one of those 2 outside firsters, if they get a clean break, could be dangerous. And they're both prices.
Let's see. We've got 2 minutes to post. And one question I have for you is, what do you think? Do you think anybody's thinking about day prize money today? Because the day prize money is pretty good.
Yeah, I think it definitely has to be in the back of your mind, especially maybe if you're not, Anthony's thinking more bonus money and all kinds, winning it. But after that, I think definitely the people below him, they're pretty bunched up, and they'd like to end the day in a position to cash some with the day money. So definitely, let's see, it pays 16,000 for first, almost 10,000 for second, and then almost 5 for third, and then 1,600 for fourth. So, you finish in first, second, or third, that's a pretty decent payday right there. You've definitely recouped your entry fees and then some.
Absolutely. So I mentioned that I mentioned the tourney triple, and Anthony Matera is in a great position to actually win here. He is, if he does win, if he gets the most points, he will win an NHC seat and a BC seat.
Wow, that would be nice. He's in a really good position for that, because I know he's had a very high finish in the first two, and now he's leading the third one. So it would take a pretty dramatic drop in the standings for him and a rise with somebody else to, overcome him. Maybe Dan Wild is probably the only one that has a shot, I would guess.
Yeah, I'll bring up a little later in the broadcast, I'll bring up the tourney triple standings, but Anthony Matera is in a pretty commanding place, having finished third and eighth. And I don't think anybody has finished with two finishes really that close, except for maybe Chris Bertolucci. But we'll check out those standings a little later in the program. Meanwhile, the odds on our horses are drifting up. The two, New Soy Fed is now up to 8-1, and Fast Buck is up to 11-1.
Yeah, they're really betting a couple of the firsters. The one horse, We Are Not Bad People, what a name, and the 4-horse Irondale are taking some money. But that firster, We Are Not Bad People, even though he drew the rail, definitely has some good workouts. But boy, a first-time starter from the rail, getting bet down like that, this is definitely a horse I think you want to take a shot against. The one. Now watch, I probably just put him in the winner's circle. He'll win off the screen, but and to me, that's not a good play.
Yeah, I mean, it's the horse is getting a weight break, so that does make a difference. But it's a lot to ask. It's a lot to ask to break from the rail as the favorite
in your debut. It's not like it's $1 million Bob Baffert firster either, So I would have a tough time, playing that horse in the contest or, betting it. It's acting up a little bit as they're loading right now. So about ready to get started, and we'll be able to get a refresh of the leaderboard and see where the leaders went in terms of their play.
Yes, we'll get a nice refresh. Given that the horses that we both picked are pretty good prices, I would think that this is a kind of race where you want to take a stab. You don't want to go with a 2-1 favorite or a 3-1. This is the exact kind of race where you're likely to get a price.
Yeah, I would be really surprised to see any of the people any people on the board picking the one horse for a contest play here. But we'll see. Maybe they have some inside information that we don't. Certainly the horse looked good on paper just in terms of the workouts, but 2-1 is kind of hard to take in this race.
All right, well, we will soon see. I will wait a few seconds after they start and reload the leaderboard, and we'll see.
Yeah, the start's really important in this race.
All right, and the 1 is a little bit slowly. The 4 is in a very good position.
Yes, the 4 looks good. The 1 rushed up to get inside the 4, but they seem to be going pretty fast early, so that we'll see what happens with the horses a little farther back.
Anthony Matera takes the 3-1 6 horse. John Kennedy takes the 25-1 3 horse. Basil DeVito, who did well in the Flocal face-off, is with a 5-2 Irondale. Wendy Long went with the 5 Seattle Breakout at 7-1. The 8's not too far away. Is going to have to close ground, and it's maybe tough to do that as a maiden.
Yeah, the 5 horse is the one that looks like it's got the momentum when they're coming out of the turn here. It looks like it's going to be the 5, and it's going to be a battle for second. The 6 may come on and get the second spot, but it looks like the 5 is going to win this.
Ooh, and that's going to be a nice price for Wendy Long. And We Are Not Bad People holds on for second. So Wendy Long is the person who's going to be doing, who's going to make the biggest moves. That will move her clearly into second. And Wendy Long, we interviewed Wendy Long in the FloCal Face-Off. Well, actually, I interviewed her. You might not remember, Chris, because you weren't part of the interview.
And she's a consistently good contest player. And I mean, I can't believe that I didn't chat up the horse named Seattle Breakout in this race. But definitely that's a big play for her. That's going to vault her into second place for day money and on the leaderboard overall.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good position to be in with 3 races to go. All right,
and that was a horse, we didn't go through the whole field, but, that horse was making its second start, and it had debuted on the turf. And so, a dramatic improvement wasn't a shocker there at all. So that was a good play by Wendy.
Yeah, Seattle Breakout had a really nice workout since the first race, which was on turf, and had that trouble. Had a 1:13.1 gate workout. It's these maiden races. There's lots of value. Often there's lots of value, and Wendy Long is the one who took advantage of it. Now,
quite a few people. Yeah, quite a few people had the 5 on the first page of the leaderboard, so that'll shuffle up the standings quite a bit.
Yeah, let's see. Mark Bogdanoff, Steve Duffield, Dylan Donnelly, Michael Bryan, Brian Graziano. I don't know most of these people, but Benjamin Bachok, I know he's Michael Bachok's brother. Craig Kaufman, big contest player. Dave Nichols. All right, so while we're waiting for them to post those official results, now is probably a good time for us to go to a pre-recorded segment, which is going to introduce the Horse Tourneys tour, the HorseTourneys.com tour to the masses. Introducing the HorseTourneys.com Tour 2021, running July 23rd through December 31st. Earn points in these cash games every weekend. Friday, the $195 game. Saturday, the $260. Sunday, the $190. Here's an example of scoring for a Friday game with an entry fee of $195 and 215 entries. The top 10 will always earn points. The first place earns 10 points, second earns 9, third wins 8, and so on down the line. In addition, partial points are earned based on the entry fee and the field size. So the entry fee of $195 gives you 0.195 additional points, and the field size of 215 gives you 0.215 additional points. That totals 0.41, so the first place finisher would win 10.41 points, and so on down the line. Get an extra 0.5 bonus points for top 10 finishes in these big contests: the Spa Surf Showdown, the Big One, and the Exacta Extravaganza. Next year, you'll also get points with the FloCal Face-Off and the Players' Championship. If any player has more than 10 qualifying scores, only the top 10 scores are tallied. There are 3 ways to win with the Horse Tourneys Tour. The first way is prizes to the top 5 finishers at the end of the tour. First place is $10,000 cash plus the title of Horse Tourneys Handicapper of the Year. Second place is entry into the Big One. Third place is entry into the Spa Surf Showdown. Fourth place is entry into the Players' Championship. And fifth place is entry into the FloCal Face-Off. Second way to win is to finish in the top 50 of the year-end tour standings. The top 50 players will participate in a contest with $25,000 in Horse Tourneys site credit given away, including at least $10,000 awarded to the top finisher. Players finishing in the top 10 of the year-end tour standings will receive 2 entries into this event, so there'll be 60 entries altogether. The third way to win is to win multiple Friday, Saturday, or Sunday contests. So if you win a Friday contest and then you win another Friday contest, you'll win a $500 cash bonus. If you win a third Friday contest, then you would win a $1,000 cash bonus. And if you won a fourth Friday contest, you would win another $1,000. So the more you play, the more you can win. And we are back, and we now have a new leaderboard. Not too much movement, but a lot of sort of bubbling under. And Wendy Long has moved into second place with 153. Randall Miller moves into third place with 141. Steve Duffield, Gregory Callowag, and Greg Bone move into the top 10. And we have a few other new faces. Interestingly enough, Steve Duffield hit with the same horse on both his entries, so he is now in a really good position. He's got 6th and 12th place. It's a nice position to be in.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that was a pretty good shakeup of the leaderboard. Just about everybody in the top 20 had that horse. There's only a few.
I regretted the statement as soon as I made it. I regretted the statement. I tried to gently backpedal.
Yeah, because you can't shake it up too much more than we just saw that, without a cap horse coming in. So, yeah. A lot of people that were within striking range, hit that horse. So it's really going to be interesting, the battle for day money. And of course, this is just setting the stage for tomorrow, but definitely a good play there. And we head into another race where it's a quite different from, a maiden race with a lot of first and second time starters to a stakes race with some really good fillies and mares. Yeah.
That was a $24 payoff, which is actually pretty good, especially in this relatively low-scoring contest. The highest price has been a 12-1 so far. Before we handicap that race, which I'm really looking forward to, it's 19 minutes to post, we are going to offer the viewers and hopefully players that are sort of, grappling with who to play tomorrow, some potential price plays from Saratoga. So the first few races at Saratoga, Chris and I went through and found horses that we think are worthy of long shot consideration. So we will move to that pre-recorded video, and when we come back, we'll handicap the 8th from Del Mar. And we are in handicapping mode. We're handicapping Saratoga races 2 through 5, prospective long shots. First thing we'll do is we'll look at the second race. And there's a horse in here that I'm interested in. It's named Street Fight. It's 12-1. This trainer, he can win at Saratoga. He's already got one win this meet. He can win with long shots. He's hit with this horse, not this horse specifically, but going from sprint to route on the turf. When this horse was meant for the turf, he hit with a 27-1. Now, the other thing is that to note is that this horse bobbled at the break, and I actually, I watched the replay and it stumbled at the break, and still rallied for second. So the horse has a little bit of turf breeding. The trainer's hit with Eric Consell with a long shot. You can see there, and he's got a nice post position. So that's the first horse that I like. And the second horse I'm interested in.
Just can I jump in for a second?
Sure.
That horse, that was an off the turf race in its debut. So they were pointed towards the turf, in that first race. So that's a good sign in terms of the turf breeding as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the second horse is Baj. The horse is 12-1. It has some turf breeding. Can the Man is a 19% turf sire. Yankee Glider has a couple of children that have won on the turf. And what I like about this horse is it's got some nice workout to 47.4 and a 35.2. The horse looks like he can run. And this trainer has hit 3 out of 40 times when he's debuted horses going first time on the turf routing. And the odds of those horses were 20-1, 12-1, and 10-1. So I just think that, this horse has some breeding and has some good works, and the post position's not great, so I'm not sure about it. I'd probably lean toward the 2, but that's my second horse in the second race.
Yeah, Safi Joseph, the trainer, surprisingly cold at the Saratoga meet, 1 for 26. So maybe he's time for him to heat up.
Real long shot.
That probably means the price will be bigger, though, right? You might have a real big price on that horse.
Sure. He could be 80 to 1, which doesn't help. That's 60 to 1 in odds that you don't really need because it's a cap of 20 to 1, but I would take it. So we're moving to the third race where Chris has a couple of horses. And the first race that he has is this 3, Sassy Melissa. What do you like about her, Chris?
Well, first of all, our trainer, David Donk, sort of points towards Saratoga, and he typically has a couple of price horses win on the turf during the meet. So that's one plus in her favor. And she's a 3-year-old who kind of ran a career best last time, didn't win. But she made a move and got a little tired at the end, got beat after a wide trip. But now they shorten up on the distance a little bit, and she's going the right way, and she's 10 to 1 in the morning line. So she's one of 2 horses I like in here. I usually look in contests for these races where I think there's a good chance the race will produce a price. And I like to have 2 horses picked out, even if I don't have 2 entries, because, one might scratch or get bet down. So it's always good to have, 2 of those. So you've already made up your mind who you're going to play as your top pick and who your backup is. And that way you can adjust if things change. And the other one I like in here, probably a little more than Sassy Melissa, is the 8-horse Ginger Kitty. She ran really big in her race off a layoff back in June at Belmont. That you can see that 67 buyer. That was a big effort. That's probably, fast. And she's run big races before routing earlier, but they're cutting her back now. So I think she has the potential to run a really big race in here. And her last one wasn't too good, but she had some trouble and she was caught wide. So I'm going to excuse that. And they've given her some time off. She has a really nice, fast 3 furlong work since then. I think she's sitting on a big race, and she's 8 to 1, which seemed like a good price. Not quite as not a double-digit price, but you're not going to catch double digits in every race. I think she's really solid and as likely to win as any in here, and she'll be a good price.
Okay, we'll go to the 5th race where I have a couple. The first horse that I'm interested in is Midnight Stroll. This horse is 8 to 1 morning line. Now, of course, you're going to have to wait and see what the odds turn out to be. But what I like about this horse, it's got some fast workouts. It's got a 48.4 gait back in June. Then in July, it's got a 47.4 gait. And then on August 8th, it has a 59.4 5 furlong gait work. So, the horse can do some running, and the trainer can win off the long, can win first time out. And he's paired with Luis Saez, who he's won with a few times. So I just think that any horse that's got like sharp gait workouts that's 8 to 1 or higher is worth considering when you're making your play. Let's go to the next horse. The next horse I'm interested in is Celestial. This is a Bill Mott horse, and he usually doesn't win first time out, although you notice that he's been winning first time out recently. So he's been doing it more often. And the way you know that his horses are well meant is fast workouts. So it's got a 48.3 breezing from the gate on July 22nd, and then 47.3 on August 5th, breezing from the gate. The horse is actually a full to Caledonia Road, who won the Breeders' Cup Distaff, not Distaff, the juvenile fillies, and so it's got fast siblings, fast bloodlines, nice workouts. I think at 6 to 1, especially Mott horses, sometimes they drift up a lot higher, so that's another horse to consider. And we're back, and we are handicapping the 8th race at Del Mar. It looks like a pretty good stakes race. Chris, do you have any initial thoughts before we go through the whole field?
Yeah. For me, the horse, I have one kind of solid price play and one potential, bomber in here. And the solid play is the 7-horse Red Lark. This horse has just had some really tough trips, and it might have another tough trip in here again because there's not a lot of pace on in this race. But I think this horse is the best finisher in the field, and has been working really well since its last race. And I just think it's going to break through one of these days. And I think this might be the day at 6-1 on the morning line. Right now, they're betting it, though, so it may not be the value play. It's 5-2 right now on the board. That was a little bit surprising to me. But so that's sort of the value play that I might have to back off on. I'll have to look at the odds projector to see what the off odds are going to be on that horse. But the long shot, the bomber, is the 3 Catch the Eye, who's, from a class standpoint, is maybe a little bit outclassed in here, but another horse that has a nice workout, and its best races kind of fit in here, and it gets in light, and it draws a good post. So it wouldn't shock me if that horse runs well. I don't know if it's good enough to win, but just maybe even if it could run second, you could hit, a cap place price in here. So the 3 Catch the Eye caught my eye. The Red Lark was kind of the value play, but like I said, I need to reassess there because that horse is really getting hit at the windows.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth when it comes to Catch the Eye. She lost this race by 3/4 of a length last year at 42-1. And she potentially could be coming into the race even a little better this year. She ran a big race last year as a 4-year-old, and then ran an off race, and then was close by 3/4 of a length. This year, she's been kind of steadily getting into form, and her last race came out of her best number for the year. And she was 3 wide both turns. So I think she's got a great shot. She would be my play if I was in the contest at 30-1. And just like you said, I'll take second place money, $22 if she gets second.
Yeah, there's no reason why she couldn't run well there. This is a pretty solid field, but I think we can kind of run through all the horses, but to me, right now the favorite is the 4-horse Tapwater, and I think it's probably projected to be the favorite looking at the DRF projections. And to me, that horse doesn't really look any better than any of these horses. So I would steer away from that horse as the favorite for sure.
Well, let's go through the whole field. We'll start with the 1 horse who's Neige Blanche, and she's got at this point she's 5-1. I think she's a pretty good play. She's a pretty solid play at that price. She won 2 races ago. She's always right there, or she at least has been for the last couple. If she were to go off at 5-1, I think she wouldn't be a bad play for anybody here.
Yeah, she definitely fits. She's projected to go off at 7-2, so probably going to see her odds drop a little. But definitely she fits. She didn't have the best of trips last time. She draws the rail here. If she gets a better trip, there's no reason why she couldn't win. At 7-2, it's not great value, but I think that's what Red Lark is projected to go off at as well. So between those two, I still would probably prefer the 7-horse.
Okay. Now the 2-horse Cristal, I can just see this horse winning and people cursing, saying, "Hey, I let a Peter Miller turf horse go off at 13-1. This horse definitely has a shot."
Yeah, it gets in light, draws an inside post, and this horse is a plotter, so it will be dead last early, but will definitely be rolling late. And again, at projected to go off at almost 20-1, that as a contest play is certainly a horse you'd want to consider.
Oh, really? It's projected to go off at 20-1. That's pretty impressive. Where are you getting those projections from?
On the DRF formulator, if you go in during the live racing, it will project the odds for you once the the countdown starts for that race. It shows you the live odds and the morning line and the projected odds, and that's based on the double wheel pays and some other things. It's not always perfect, but it gives you a pretty good idea if the horse is going to float up or down from the current price on the board. It's a good tool. If people have Formulator and you use it already, it's a great tool for contests because you can get quickly kind of look in, get an idea if what the horse is going to go off at post time. And you don't get fooled by a horse that takes a lot of early money or maybe one that's not taking any money early.
Well, the funny thing is that Catch the Eye is going off at projected going off at 46-1, and that just kind of reminds me of Alan Levitt when he picked a horse that he didn't realize was going to be higher than 30-1, but he picked a horse last in the FloCal face-off contest, and it ended up going off at 99-1, and he was shocked because he didn't expect that, and it didn't affect how he picked the horse because he just figured it was a capper that had a shot. But 99-1. If Catch the Eye wins at 46-1, there's going to be the 26-1 in lost odds there. But I don't think anybody who has it will be complaining.
Yeah, I have a feeling that horse will be more like 5 or 10-1 in the contest because it's just pretty obvious that it has a chance to win, and that's a ridiculous price for that horse. So. I have a feeling quite a few people will be on the 3 in this race, especially when you've got such a flat leaderboard. Most of the other favorites are all kind of in the 2-1, 4-1 range. There's really nothing very juicy to go for other than Crystal might be the other one people would go with in here if they're looking for a price.
All right, so Tapwater is the current favorite at 9-5. She always seems to be a bit of a disappointment. Has lost last 2 races as the favorite. Won one race at 4-1. Won another race as the favorite. This is, for some reason, people like to bet this horse.
Well, she has had some really tough trips in her last 2 races. So she has that, and she gets Rispoli. So I kind of get that, but she doesn't seem to finish, and I think she's a question mark at this 11 furlong distance. That's what I think is the big negative is, she tried 1.5 miles once and got tired, and that's her only time she's ever gone over 1 mile. So
although she did stumble at the start of that race.
Yeah, she's had trouble in the last 2, but still, I think she's a bit of a question in here. She got an easy lead even though she stumbled and couldn't hold on. And a couple of the horses in this race ran her down. So, I don't know why she's likely to hold on this time, especially when you got a horse like the 6th horse who's probably going to get the lead in here, Ipedema's Girl. So, to me, I don't like Tapwater at all. I think that horse is a toss in here, especially as the favorite.
All right, now I know the projected odds are lower, but at 6-1 right now, the 5 Ride for the Cause is looking pretty juicy to me.
Yeah, I'd say that horse along with the Red Lark those are the 2 most likely winners, but it is projected to go off at 7-2. So
those projections don't always pan out.
No, but they're almost always right directionally, so I don't think you're going to get 6-1. Maybe you get a little more than 7-2, but the horse is probably going to come down before post time.
All right, let's take a look at the 6 Ipedema's Girl. I had a question on the distance for her. She is fast. She's coming off a pair of pretty good efforts, including a 6-1 win. What's your take on her?
Well, I think she's going to be on the lead. That's always dangerous, and it just kind of depends on what they do at Tapwater. If they try to put her on the lead like they did the last time she went long, that will probably end both those horses' chances. But if they let Ipedema's Girl go slow enough up front, there's no reason why Joe Bravo couldn't steal the race on the front end. So, to me, that horse I would play before I'd play the favorite. There you're projected to get at 7-1. price, rather than 2-to-1 or less. To me, if you want a horse on the front end, I would go with the 6 horse.
Yeah. I mean, this race, the one horse you don't want under any circumstances, unless you love for some reason, is the favorite, Tapwater. At 8-5 is not really faster than these, and is very undervalued. And there's only 3 races to go in this contest, so you need to connect.
Well, 3 today. Remember, it's a 2-day contest.
Well, so. Right.
And yeah, if you love the horse, I just don't know how you could love a horse at 8-5. To me, that's the one horse that I think's clearly the one you want to stay away from. The rest of them, I could see making a case for maybe playing them, but that 4 horse just a really bad favorite, kind of like the last race.
All right. Any chance that Global Brand, the 8, who's 16-1, definitely looks slower on figures, but did run its best turf race, a very improved turf race, 2 races ago at Gulfstream, and is out of Marketing Mix, who was a major turf mare. What do you think the chances of Global Brand here?
Well, this is one of those horses where, based on the numbers, it doesn't look like it's fast enough. But if you watch the races, it put in a nice little move in the last race. And before that, it had a lot of trouble, and it still ran pretty well. And even the race before that, it had trouble. So to me, this horse has looked good visually. And just maybe it can step up. Sometimes they run slower based on the competition and the trip, and they have the potential to run faster. So I wouldn't be shocked if Global Brand ran well.
All right, I am getting ready to reload the standings after they start, a few seconds after they start the race. It's exciting. I can't help but feel a warm, fuzzy feeling when I see a nice stakes turf race at Del Mar.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the players went. There could be all over the place in this race.
And they're off. And Anthony Montero goes with Global Brand, the outside horse. Wendy Long with Red Lark, Randall Miller, Red Lark, John Kennedy and Basil DeVito ride for the cause, who did go down to 3-1.
Yeah, those projections are pretty good.
Yeah, they were pretty good, and certainly in that scenario, they were good. The 6 at 6-1 is a pretty good price.
Yeah, kind of as expected. It's on the lead, and like I said, I'd rather have that 6 on the lead than the 4 chasing it at 8-5 or whatever. It went 2-1. But I think this is going to set up for a fun finish because they're getting a little strung out, so they're probably going a pretty good pace up front for this distance. And I think everybody's getting a pretty good trip so far, so it'll be interesting to see how the race unfolds late. A lot of people were on Red Lark on the leaderboard and Ride for the Cause, so they kind of went chalky. Only Anthony and a few others took a shot with Global, but what's surprising is I don't see too many catch the eye. In fact, you got to go all the way down to the 20. Dan Wild.
Dan Wild, who catch the eye.
Yeah, we'll see if that might be
3.
Yeah.
Ooh, that'd be a heck of a score. In my mythical game, I am rooting for Catch the Eye, the 3 at 40-1.
Well, I tell you, if the fractions are right, they really slowed it down. They supposedly went 116 for the 3/4. That's crawling, if that's right. You never can know about the way they time races.
Right now, if I'm on the 6, I'm feeling pretty good. But that 4 is moving pretty easily,
slow.
Going by.
Yeah, we'll see. Here comes the cavalry charge late. Here comes the 7-horse Red Lark. We'll see if he can run down the. He's moving pretty. Here comes the 1 Neige Blanche and Red Lark. They're both going. It's going to be 1-7. That was so.
Neige Blanche wins at 7-2. That's Gregory Callowag will benefit from that. Phil Hodebeck Brian Graziano, Ron Bowden, Miguel Winschow. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Steve Lombardo, Andrew Walker, Eric Pinheiro, Scott Fiedler, defending champ. And let's go to the second page just to see if any names we know pick that horse.
Well,
Paul Graffi, Alex Desidoro, Robert Rosette, Turner West, Sarah Leonard.
Well, going back to the first page, quite a few people had Red Lark in second, like Wendy Long and Randall Miller. So that will help solidify their spot, for day money. Wendy will actually increase her, well, at least both those two will move up. I don't think Greg Callowag is going to catch either one of those with a 7-2 winner when they got this place horse. So, that helps him quite a bit.
Well, sort of probably a good protective play by Anthony Matera there, going with Capper Global Brand, because if you look at how many people picked Global Brand, the 9th place finisher, the 11th place, the 14th place, a lot of people swung for the fences there. He protected himself pretty well there.
Yeah, and it was the likely contenders were all kind of in that we talked about, 2-1, 4-1 range. So he wasn't going to get real hurt unless, there were sort of 3 horses that could hurt him, and he went with the 8.
Okay, well, while we're waiting for that to become official, we will switch to more handicapping price plays, pointing out some price plays and our reasoning for doing it from Saratoga for tomorrow. Since we're not going to have a chance to handicap the races, they'll be over by the time we run the show. So we might have some ideas for you. So let's switch to that pre-recorded segment. And when we get back, we'll take a look at the updated leaderboard. And we're back for part 2 of our long shots to consider segment. We're going to go to Saratoga, race 7. And the first horse we're going to look at is Yearn for Victory, and this is one of Chris's considerations. Well, what do you like here, Chris?
Well, one thing to keep in mind in contests when you're looking for price horses, especially a cap horse, typically when you get a horse like that, there's some sort of change that results in a dramatically improved performance. So you're looking for some kind of change, surface change, distance change, trainer change. Typically without a change like that, you're not going to see a dramatic form reversal. And so the 3 Yearn for Victory is one of those where it's making a surface change. It's never been on the turf. It's lightly raced with a lot of upside and a lot of early speed in a race where I think it can clear early, which is one of the things I really like about the horse. But also the breeding, the dam Victory Lap is definitely, she was a very nice turf runner. So given her past performances and her ability to run, she was a stakes performer on the turf, you would think Yearn for Victory should have no problem transferring its form from dirt to turf. And if that's true, I think it might just be able to take them gate to wire at a price.
All right. The other horse you have here is the 4 Future Victory.
Yeah, this one's more of a trip play. It had a pretty rough trip last time. And its race before that was really good. It's one of these 3-year-olds that seems to have kind of had the light bulb go off in its recent races. So I think its form is better than that last race would indicate. Now it's Pletcher and Irad, so I'm really questioning that 12-1 morning line, but David Aragona is better than I am at making the morning line at Saratoga, so I'll trust him that this horse probably won't be 12-1, but he'll still be a square price. So, certainly that horse with a good trip in here could win at a price. So that's the other one I like, 4 Future Victory.
All right. Well, no shortage of horses in this race. We're going to go. I have 2 horses that I am interested in. One is the 6 Sigaloso, 12-1 morning line. Been running 79, 79, then 78 in its last race, which was at Saratoga. Now, the number, if we were using ground loss, if Beyer used ground loss, this number would probably be higher, like an 80 something, because the horse was 4 wide on the second turn, and so on the sheets he actually shows a lifetime top, and it's as fast as any other horse in this race. And Antonio Sano can win at Saratoga, so I think this is a horse that could easily be overlooked. And then we're going to go to the 8 horse. This is a horse named Treason. It's another Bill Mott horse. It's only its 3rd race, and it's only 6-1, and it might get bet. So, it really depends on how they play it. But I do like the horse. It won its debut at 25-1. And in its second race, it ran a little faster than its first race. It doesn't really show here because he was 3 to 4 wide on the turns. But it was a small top, and notice those nice workouts. 47 flat, first out of 60, breezing bullet. Pretty impressive. So when Mott horses start working really fast, I take notice. And that thing is that a lot of people may take notice, and there may be a good workout report. So the horse might not be as high as 6-1.
Yeah, I'm afraid that horse might get bet down below that morning line, but definitely has a good chance to win.
All right, the next race we'll go to is the 9th race, and the first horse that you're interested in is Lil Tootsie, the 1. What do you like?
Well, Lil Tootsie, she made a little bit of noise down in Louisiana earlier this year. She was actually sort of on the Oaks Trail for a while, but we talked about her on the pod. We were both, I think, skeptical this horse could route. It was really more of a sprinter. And I think that is true. They did cut back, and it won, and then they tried again to stretch her out in the Indiana Oaks, and just didn't work out. So now they're back sprinting, which I think is where she wants to be. The turf is a question. But this is another horse that has kind of turfy breeding. Dejour Mare is the mother, and if you look at that, the mother, she's produced some horses that have run well on the turf. So I think the cutback makes sense. I think the switch to turf, the horse could handle it. Again, changes are how you get these dramatic form reversals, and that's why you're getting 12-1 in here. Tom Amos is a good trainer. So a horse will be coming from a bit out of it, so it needs a little racing luck and some pace up front. But to me, it's sort of a live long shot in here at 12-1.
All right. The next horse that you have on the docket in this race is the 4, Dr. B. What do you think here?
Well, I like him because he is very speedy, and he's another one that's making that shift to turf. And again, he comes out of a mare that is sort of plus turf, so I think he can handle the shift. They actually had him entered on the turf in his last race. It came off, but he ran a second on the dirt. Or this is a she, I shouldn't offend her. So it's a she. And, she was running against some good horses like Bella Sophia and Australasia, a couple back where she kind of was outclassed a bit. But all her other starts, she's run well. I think she can handle the surface switch. There's a lot of speed in here, but in these turf sprints, the speed is not a bad thing at all to have. Luis Saez is a really good speed rider, and he's been really hot at Saratoga. He's a leading rider. So to me, this horse very live, again, making that switch from turf to dirt.
We'll move to the 10th race, and the first horse that one of us likes is this one, the 1, Freddie Mo Factor. What do you like?
Freddie Mo Factor. This horse, I like the tactical speed. The last race I'm just going to toss. That was an off-the-turf race. He draws the rail and has that good tactical speed. Doesn't have to have the lead, but will definitely be forwardly placed and may get the lead. And at 10-1, the numbers fit, should get a good trip. And just no reason why you couldn't play this horse. It's a pretty wide open race. It could be a hot pace, but I have a feeling it won't be as hot as you think, because the horse next to it, the 2-horse Alpha Babe, is one of the horses with speed, but it has a rider who has a tendency to rate horses. And you can see its last race, they took her off the pace and she ran a big race. So I'd expect them to take her off the pace in here. And if they do, I think the 1 horse has a chance maybe to clear and win. And I think the 2 horse is an improving sort at a price as well. So both of those, 1 Freddie Mo Factor and the 2 Alpha Babe, I think are live at a price.
Okay, the next horse, one more horse in this race, and that is the 4 Kubi Snacks. Now, this horse just won its maiden at Monmouth and has had a little bit of a break since then. And I think that this has been an opportunity for the horse to develop. The horse beat the horse that it finished in front of, won its next race, and it won despite steadying. Now, this trainer, Michael Trombetta, and jockey Javier Castellano, they're 2 for 4 in the last 5 years at Saratoga, and they can hit at a price. So I think this horse probably is well meant, and it's really not much slower. It's a little slower than a few of them, but having that break since June, it's given it 2 months to develop and possibly improve in this race.
Yeah, I mean, probably targeting the Saratoga meet. I'm glad you like this horse, because this was the 3rd horse, and I was trying to decide which 2 of the 3 I was going to talk about. So I'm glad you brought that one up, because I think it's live. So Kubi doo.
Yabba dabba doo. Kubi doo. All right. Well, so we'll get back to the Spa and Surf Showdown show, and we'll come back with some handicapping after another race. And we're back, and we're looking at an updated leaderboard, and there are a few changes. Now, Wendy Long is still in second, but she's moved up to 157.80, and that's really giving her a good position to get some day money with only 2 races left, and one of the races having only 6 horses in the field. A lot of modest movement among people who had Red Lark and Neige Blanche. And Steve Duffield is still in pretty good shape. He's in 6th and 13th. He had Red Lark on both his tickets. And I think, Chris, you're on.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I think Wendy has to feel pretty good about that result. Now it gets down to these last 2 races, and if they're thinking about the day money, then you start using a little bit of game theory and contest strategy to figure out how you're going to play the last 2 races, especially this race with a small field and several pretty short-priced horses. You have to think about how you want to play it. This one's probably the least interesting race in the sequence, but it's an important race for these players near the top of the leaderboard.
Yes, indeed. And I wonder, Anthony Matera, what he's going to do in this position, because there's 2 cappers, and he was protecting his lead in the last race. I wonder if he'll do that, or will he, try to just add to his total with maybe a 3-1 or a 5-1.
Yeah, based on what he did in that last race, I would guess he'll be on one of the cappers. He's probably thinking a little bit about that day money, which is nothing to sneeze at. Let me see, what's the total again for first? It's like 20,000.
16,000. And yeah, I think he won the day money in the Flo Cal face-off the first day.
Yeah, so that I wouldn't blame him for being defensive. I think after that, the players probably are more interested about cashing in this race. Like Wendy and Randall and Gregory and Phil and Steve, those people near the top. They need some points to try to get up into that 2nd and 3rd spot and cash in on the day. So I think I'd be surprised if they go towards the capper. They're probably going to look for the horse they think is most likely to win in this race. And maybe that's a good time to kind of take a look at the horses and sort of handicap it between the 2 of us, Scott.
All right, well, let's go ahead and handicap this race. And I did not like this race one bit. This is the kind of race, if this was a 10-race contest, I'd be cursing that this is one of the choices of the races. It is actually a 40-race contest, which is fine. That makes it much more palatable because you get 40 to choose from, and you just can't have 40 great races. But I personally, I had a hard time not going with the one, Catamaco, who was clearly the fastest in its very first race, and then came back after a layoff to run an off race on the turf. The trainer is 245 ROI going turf to dirt. It just seems to me that I'm likely to take the shortish price here and just move on.
Yeah, I mean, that horse certainly, if it runs back to that race, its debut, was it its first race? I can't remember. Its first race.
It's only raced 2 times.
Yeah, that was on the dirt, and that was really good. If it runs back to that, it will win. That last one kind of looks like it was a prep. They ran it on the turf, really didn't do much at all, and now they're switching back to the dirt. And the horse was really training well prior to that comeback race too. So if you just kind of toss that first race and consider it a prep, the one's definitely the one to beat. I think the most likely winner. So if you just are trying to get points and you want the most likely winner, then that's who I would pick as the most likely winner. It sounds like you would too.
Yeah. And it's projected to go off at 3-1, which I'm kind of surprised at. Maybe people are looking at different figures than we are.
Well, they're jumping on the 3, who's projected to go off at 4-5. And, that horse has a lot of speed, so maybe they're thinking that horse is quicker than the 1. We'll see. But that's all I can get is that they're playing for that horse to grab the lead early. It looks good before the race. It's on its toes. But that's the one I would probably play against in here. At that short price, I'd much rather have the 1 over the 3. And I think the 1 may be just as quick. And certainly if one runs back to its debut or improves off that, which it certainly could, I would think it would be much better than the 3 in here. So between those two as kind of the favorites, I definitely like the 1 over the 3.
I mean, the 1's first race was an 83 buyer, and Let's Get Lucky has 2 81s. So I'm kind of surprised that they're playing the horse that much, but maybe people are putting more credence into it having run stakes races, and or maybe they just know something that we don't.
Well, and there tends to be a recency bias where a horse coming off a poor race and a horse coming off a pretty good effort in a stakes race, people tend to play that. They're looking at this as a class drop, and the other horse is coming off a poor effort. So not that surprising, but yeah, I am a little bit surprised that I thought they would be a little closer at odds. I do think, another horse to consider in here is the 6-horse Big Story. He projected to go off at 9-2, which isn't a great price, but to me, that horse has a lot of upside, has a really good workout since its last race, has a trainer switch, and comes off a layoff. And I like when horses come off the layoff in a boutique premier meet like Del Mar. That usually means they targeted, this spot. They want to win a race at Del Mar because, they could come back a little earlier probably and run at Los Al or, in a softer field. So to me, the Big Story might be the horse. Drew a nice outside post, has some tactical speed, and there's a chance that the 1 and the 3 could hook up and, set it up for a horse to come from off it. And to me, that the most likely horse in that spot will be the 6-horse.
Yeah, in that case, I would, and I think it's a viable scenario. I would go with the 4, I'll Stand Taller, who got back to a sprint after 2 route races and ran pretty well at 6.5 furlongs. Now cuts back a little bit more and ran against a pretty good horse in Clem Labine in the last race. The horse that finished third behind him came back to win, and this horse was also bumped at the start. He's projected to go off at 4-1, and like he just looks like the type of horse that can close off a relatively fast pace, be close enough to not be out of it, and swoop in for the win, which is how he won his maiden race.
Yeah, I could see that. Just one thing I want to point out more, just kind of for future reference. The big story hasn't raced in a while and was actually ran a good race even as a 2-year-old. His first, it ran a couple of races turf routing, and they cut it back to the dirt sprint. So I think there's a lot of upside. That horse, the more I look at it, the more I like the big story, and especially when it looks like there could be a speed duel in here between the 1 and the 4. It seems like the 4 is going to go, and from the rail, they almost have to send the 1. So they might just be better than the rest of the field, but that someone else like the 4 or the 6 could trip out, and I really like the 6 drawing that outside post, can kind of just sit there and. If it's ready to fire off the bench, and based on the workouts, I think it is, it might get that perfect trip, that perfect stocking trip.
All right. Do we have any consideration for the 2 or the 5? They seem several lengths slower and even on turf.
Well, not so much the 2, but I wouldn't toss the 5 completely because its debut was on dirt, and that was his first start, and its other 2 starts were on turf, and its last was the best of its life, but, there's no reason to think it's a turf horse, I don't think. It started its career on dirt. Its breeding really isn't for turf. So, that horse back on dirt for the first time, third off a layoff, that one's not impossible. And it's one that, doesn't have it's been forwardly placed, but it doesn't necessarily have to be on the lead either. It's when it came from off the pace in its debut at Gulfstream. So that's another one that if it does heat up on the front end, one of these other horses might trip out, and that one you're getting a price. So to me, if you're looking for a price, that's probably the one to go with, the 5. Especially now we're at the end of the day, and if you kind of have a goose egg, maybe it is time to take a stab, especially in a race like this where you're not going to lose much ground if the favorite wins or, a horse wins at 2-1.
Yeah. The 5 definitely, you make a good case, and the breeding is very synthy. That's where all the siblings ran their races, and the dam too, but they may have also been from Canada. So that they may have all just been running up there at Woodbine. So they didn't really have that much opportunity to run on fast track.
So while we're waiting for him to load, let's kind of play the game. We're on the leaderboard. You're Anthony Matera. You got a big lead. You kind of have that day money in the back of your mind. Are you going to be defensive and play a long shot in here like the 5 to just protect yourself? Or are you going to go with, the horse you think's most likely to win? What do you think he's going to play?
Well, I don't know him that well. I know he did play defensively in his last race. So I know that he is thinking, that's something that he considers, but he may not think that horse has a great shot. I would lean towards saying that he's more likely to actually pick the horse, but I don't know if he will. So 18-1, there's a good chance that he'll actually do it, because the 18-1, somebody can catch him with that 18.
Yeah, I think he's going to play the 5. That's who I expect to see, that horse. He's a smart player, and the way he played the last race, you got to think he's going to be the 5. Maybe the 2. I think the 2 seems like more of a stretch, but I think he's going to be defensive. It's kind of funny that we're saying he's picking the long shot defensively, but that's really what he's doing in that position. But now let's go to Wendy Long, who's trying to hold on to that second spot. I'd be shocked if she goes with the 5. Who do you think or let's just put it this way. If you were her, based on your opinion, who would you be playing in this race?
Well, that's a good question. I think that if I were her, I would play the 4 or the 6. Probably the 4. The 4 is like a mixture of my opinion and her strategy. So I think that's what I would do. I personally, the 1 was projected to go off at 3-1 and is now 2-1. So, that's not that great for a horse that really only has one number. So, just based on everything that I've seen, I'm gonna pivot and move my pick to the 4. I'll Stand Taller.
Yeah,
I'm going to guess that Wendy does that too.
Yeah, along the same lines, I would go with the 6. I just like the 6 better than the 4, but I think the 4 is a logical play, and I think that's where Wendy will land. I wouldn't be surprised maybe she goes with the 1 either. I think Randall right behind her is probably going to go with either the 4 or the 6 as well, trying to pass Wendy up. So they're loading up. We're going to find out here shortly who they played and what happens. It's going to get exciting. Then we're down to one more race after this for the day.
And that last race is a big, nice 10-horse turf field.
Yeah, this was a disappointing race for a Saturday at Del Mar in the second to last race, but it is what it is.
They're in the gate, and I am prepared to reload, and they're off. And the 5 takes the lead. And Anthony Matera takes the 1, Catamaco. Wendy, as predicted, takes the 4, I'll Stand Taller. And Randall takes Catamaco in the hope that he can catch Wendy. In fact, Catamaco went off at 7-2, so it went down to 2-1 and drifted back up. And now looks pretty good.
Yeah, the big news in this is the 3-horse, who we expected to see on the lead, isn't there, which really makes it the 1 double tough in here. The 5, our long shot
looking pretty good right now.
He's in a very good spot right now, and the 4's in a good spot. I don't know what they were doing on the 3, but
all right. Well,
definitely...
the 5 is going to at least get second in this race, and I see that Ron Bowden is the only guy that picked the horse. Let's see if the 4 can pull it out.
It's trying. 4's coming on. Looks like the 4's going to run it down, but the 5 still digging. But 4 looks like he's going to wear him down.
All right, so that is really big for Wendy Long.
Yes.
Who now solidifies her second place standing. Plus a few other people had it: Gregory Callowag, Greg Bone, Basil DeVito, Dylan Donnelly, Alan Lauer, Paul Graffi, Najah Mani, David Rouge, Alex Desidoro, Mark Racenstein. Let's see how many people had that 5. Ron Bowden was the highest person who had it. Vincent DePalo, Chris Felica, the Bear.
Well, I'll bet you that Anthony wishes he had played defensively on that one. I think that was a faux pas on his part there.
Although the horse did get second, so he's still pretty safe.
Yeah, but I mean, he would have picked up all those points too. he would have cashed on his defensive play. So, that one. Yeah,
and we'll see how many points that is. I mean, the 4-5 favorite is out, but the second choice won. And there is a little.
No. The top 2 choices. Well, I guess 4 did go off as a second choice. Boy, that 1 really floated up late.
Well, it looks like they're looking at the start of this race, and that could affect things.
Maybe they're seeing if the 3 was held at the gate. That's why he had such a bad start. I didn't see it. I don't think they're going to. They might declare it a non-runner. That's what I think they're looking for.
Yeah, it didn't look. I didn't see anything in the brief time that they showed that.
Yeah. Like he got away slowly.
All right, well, I'll Stand Taller, having switched my pick at the last minute to I'll Stand Taller.
Good pick, Scott. That was a good pick by you and Wendy. And now what's interesting is now Wendy's going to be close enough where she doesn't have to go for a bomb to catch Anthony. I mean, Anthony's only going to be like 20 points ahead of her. So, that she's going to be in legitimate
she's
striking
got a chance range. She's got a chance to take the lead today.
Yeah, if she hits like a 6 or 7-1 shot in the next race,
And she has plenty of opportunity.
Yeah.
And also, really nice call by you on Nichiren having a shot at 16-1. You convinced me that the horse was playable, and that's gonna result in some place points. Let's see if it's official yet. And Wendy Long she's in second, but she moves a little less than $20 behind Anthony Matera.
Yeah. She's just a 7-1 shot away from the winning the day prize.
Woohoo! And hopefully she'll. We'll get into the handicapping later because there's 24 minutes to post. But let's just scroll through the leaderboard and see if there's anything interesting going on there. Dylan Donnelly has been quietly moving up in the standings and now is in 12th place.
Yes, yeah, and I'll stand taller, and he's definitely a good contest player.
Scott Fiedler had Nichiren, and actually, I'm gonna go into the results here to see what that place price was. It was $11.80. $11.80 for that horse, and I'll stand taller was $13. So, about even, depending on which one of those horses you took. So all the Nichiren people moved up a little bit.
They're all cheering.
They're cheering for Nichiren. And Dan Wild, who's in 17th, he's got 124. Anthony is kind of stalled out a little bit here at 190. So Dan Wild still is in the running to get that $1 million bonus. Right now, he's less than $70 away, and he's got 2 days and one race.
Yeah, 20 races, I think, left. So certainly plenty of time for him to catch up. And Wendy's the one who caught the hot hand here since the show started, and she's put herself into a position where she could definitely make some noise and, come up with a Zenyatta-like finish for the day money.
She's had 4 out of 6 of the last winners. So doing well. And let's just scroll down to the bottom, see if there's any other notable names. Steve Wolfson Sr., Hall of Famer, has moved into 41st place. And a few, Steven Simonovic, Nichiren, Robert Rosette. All right.
Yeah, I'm surprised more people didn't have that horse. It was a small field, and it was sort of the one long shot that looked playable, but not as many had it as I thought would have. Maybe a lot more down near the bottom of the leaderboard.
All right, so we have one more video recording. This is for the Del Mar races, where we handicap the early races at Del Mar. I think we're starting tomorrow with the 6th race, and we look forward to handicapping that one live and the 6th through the 9th tomorrow. But in the meantime, we take a look at some potential long shots, some horses to consider in the first 5 races at Del Mar, and we will switch to that video now and be back in a few minutes. And we're back handicapping Del Mar for Sunday. The early races, we'll be handicapping the live races that are on the show tomorrow during the show. But possible long shots in this race. On the card, we'll start with the Del Mar first race. And the first horse that Chris is interested in is the 1, Saving Sophie.
Yeah, this is a race that's wide open. It's kind of a cheap claimer. Again, another 5 furlongs turf sprint. Turf sprints, we've seen quite a few of those that we've talked about. They can produce prices. This one horse, Saving Sophie, Hector Palma actually scored on Friday at a price, and he does that every once in a while. To me, this horse sort of fits number-wise, and I like the cutback and distance. It's better sprinting, and it should be fit off that last race, which wasn't too bad, despite some trouble, actually quite a bit of trouble. And they put an apprentice on to get the weight off, and a really nice workout since that last race. So to me, this horse is live and, could score the price. There's actually one I like a little bit better, but I think this is live for sure.
All right. The other horse that you're interested in is the 5 On Deck. And I'm going to get there eventually. On Deck. Okay, what do you like?
Well, On Deck's, he's a talented horse. He's not very consistent, but like he won on debut at Keeneland really impressively, and then he ran a couple of more winning races in fairgrounds, and then just something went wrong. And he really didn't run well again until later in the year when they put him on the poly track, where he strung together a really nice set of races at Turfway. They put him back on the turf, and, again, a bad race, good race. He was popular in the claim box. And Bill McLean, who's a really good claiming trainer, high percentage. I mean, if you look at his percentages off the claim, I don't know if Scott's going to try to do that in Formulator. They're very good. And he's very good second off the claim, which is where he is here. They have this ship and win program at Del Mar, and so that's what he's trying to do here. He can win some extra money with this horse. Had a really tough trip last time, just got away really slowly, spotted the field, quite a bit. But now he drops a little bit, and he stays on the turf, and his poly track synth form was really good, and he's kind of bred for the turf, so I think he can handle it with a little better start this time. He's 20 to 1 on the morning line. This is the kind of horse that you could hit as a cap horse in a contest and really propel you, towards the top of the leaderboard. So hopefully On Deck can fire.
Especially if you hit this early. It's the first race at Del Mar, and people are going to be letting the bombs fly toward the end of the day. This could be an opportunity to hit a capper early.
Good point.
All right, we'll go to the second race where I have a couple I like. The first one is Tiz Lightning. Now this horse, look at the workouts on this horse. 48 handily from the gate, 35 and 4 from the gate. That to me is, anytime I see a gate work and double-digit odds, a gate work that's as fast as 48, even if it's under 49, like 48.4 would be okay, but 48 is even better. This trainer, Stephen Miotti, is 4 for 13 at the meet, and the horse is 12 to 1. And the trainer and jock have hit at 32% in the last 2 years. So that's one horse to absolutely consider, and keep an eye on that horse because it could drift up, right? It might be bet early, it might be bet at like 5 or 6 to 1, but then like in the last few minutes it goes up.
Yeah, I don't usually like these kind of races, but the one horse in that race, Big Swede, who's 30 to 1, that horse had some good works as well, and I just would toss that first race. This is a kind where maybe that second start, the horse might fire at a big price. I'm not real keen on that one, but wouldn't be impossible.
Well, speaking of horses that are starting for the second time, a Smokin' Shadow is trained by Charles Treese, who I'm not that familiar with. I've seen his name, but was bumped pretty hard at the start in his last race, and still passed horses, at least passed one horse in its debut. Now gets a bug. Alexis Centeno at 115 gets 5 pounds off. And, it also has a 49 gate workout, which to me is an indication of its ability. So, showed a pretty solid workout and then was 42 to 1, was bumped. This could easily be another one of those races where you get a 40 to 1 who's second out after a little bit of trouble. Okay, we'll go to the last race. It's not the last race. It's the third race at Del Mar. And the first one we're looking at is Annalisa, who is one of the horses I seriously considered. Now, I decided not to mention it, but I'm glad you're doing it.
Yeah, she has a good recent workout and has the tactical speed you want to see in these turf sprints. We've talked about a lot of turf sprints. And so, to me, that I always, if I can, I like to get them forwardly placed. And the horse is really quick. It runs a lot of these like mixed breed races at Los Alamitos, and when you're competing against quarter horses, they really have fast gait speed. And when they can win those kinds of races, that tells you this horse is very quick. It's coming out of one of those races off a layoff, and now to me the fact that they're trying to win at Del Mar is a plus. It's only 5 furlongs, and second off the layoff.
2 for 4 at the distance.
Yeah, and the horse has sort of, when it has run at Golden Gate, and it's been able to compete on these turf sprints. So, at a big price, a potential cap horse, this is one I think you could consider.
Yeah, the only reason I neglected this one is because there's a lot of speed in the race. There's tons of horses, but you make a good point about this one possibly having better gate speed than any other horse.
Yeah, and these 5 furlong turf sprints, a lot of times they go to the best of the speed, even if there's quite a few speed horses in the race.
By the way, in this race is 5 Picks Please, who won at 29-1 to deliver the Flo Cal face-off victory to Alan Levitt. He's back, and he's 8-1. So if you want to play that horse again.
Yeah, I remember I touted him on our live broadcast. Wasn't that?
Yes,
that's the horse, right? Yeah.
Yes, you did. You touted him.
So and he has a shot in here too.
He totally has a shot. He's only 8-1. He might get bet, but the horse that I'm most interested in this race is Never for Money, the 8, who he's got some speed, but like he generally comes from off of it, and so I think he could get a nice tracking trip right off the speed, and he's got a nice workout since that last race. Back with Kyle Fry, this trainer-jockey combo is pretty potent, and circled 4 wide and won. The last race was just, it was just not a great race. It was a slower race, and that's okay because they can't bang them out over and over again, and now you'll get a higher price, even though it was 33-1 in that race. The next horse that you're interested in is the 9, Acting Out.
Yeah, I think Acting Out is very quick as well, and I kind of like that he drew the outside post. That gives the jockey some options. He doesn't have to be on the lead. He'll be forwardly placed. He's very quick, but he doesn't necessarily. He can sit second and still win. Horse has really been good on the turf. Has started his career with two out of 3 wins on the turf. Also has some big races on dirt. Recently on the turf at 6 furlongs, it didn't quite do as well, but its last start at 5.5 was good. It just always runs well. It's got the speed, and at 12-1, I would say this horse is probably the most likely winner in the race. And at 12-1 is a really good price on this horse. Now, this is the kind I'd definitely be interested in betting as well as playing in the contest.
All right, Acting Out. So plenty of price opportunities on the 2 cards tomorrow. And we look forward to seeing some of those long shots come in throughout the day. And then we'll be handicapping the rest of the races at Del Mar, races 6 through 9, live on the show. And we're back for the last race at Del Mar. It's the 9th race. It's an allowance optional claiming, a 5 furlong turf sprint with 10 horses. Very competitive field, Chris.
Yeah, I really like this race from a betting standpoint, from a contest standpoint. This is a great way to end the day. There's a lot of ways you could go. I think that there'll be a lot of tough decisions that these people near the top of the leaderboard will have to make in this race.
Absolutely, and I'll get us started with the horse that I like. I just have to bring up that horse's information, and that horse is Christmas Surprise, who's coming off a short layoff. May have developed some in the last 2 to 3 months, and has speed, and may try to wire this field. That's the 7, Xmas Surprise or Christmas Surprise.
Yeah, that and the speed's always dangerous. There's not a ton of speed in here, so I think it's likely to be pretty bunched up front. So it'll be an advantage definitely to be near the lead. There's a horse I really like in here a lot, and that's the 8-horse Loud Music. This is the kind of horse I just love to play. I mean, it started its career and just ran 2 just really nice races on the turf. It was 2 for 2 to start its career on the turf. For some reason, they moved it to the dirt. That didn't work out too well. And then they tried to route it. That didn't work out too well. And they cut back to a sprint. And, it's never been off the board in sprints. It's never run a bad race on the turf. And, it's sitting on a big race here, I think, 3rd off the layoff. Gets a pretty good rider. At its last race, it was a really tough trip. The trainer, it comes off the claim for a trainer that does well off the claim. I mean, I just love this horse, and he's projected to go off at 14-1. The one negative is the horse does come from a little bit out of it, so it needs some racing luck. But to me, at 14-1, that's a really good price. And I actually have made a bet before the show even started on this horse to make sure I could catch him if I didn't forget while the show was going on to make a bet.
Well, I actually put some real money on the, now I've lost my number, but
7.
Yeah, I put some real money on the 7. Wanted to make sure I got that bet in too, because I like everything I see about the horse. However, your horse has not only recency but also back numbers. That nice early win at Santa Anita turf sprinting. If the horse can even return to that, it's going to be hard to beat in this race. And at 14-1 projected odds, I like your pick a lot.
Yeah, I think it definitely would be my play in the contest pretty much anywhere I am on the leaderboard. Certainly not the only horses that could win. There's some others we can talk about that, I think have solid shots in here. But, I like I said, loud music, that's the kind of horse I really like to play. But you want to talk about a few others in here, or we want to go to the leaderboard? We still have some time.
Yeah, well, we've gone through the leaderboard pretty well, so I think, well, we'll return to the leaderboard after we go through these contenders. The one horse, I'll just get it started with the one horse. The one horse seems to have a pretty good shot. It hasn't won in its last 7 races. I'm not sure how many races it actually has won. It usually seems to be close, but it hasn't been able to get the job done.
Yeah, it's sort of been close, but no cigar. It's 4-1 seems a little short to me on that horse, but it certainly has numbers that give it a shot if it gets the right trip for sure.
Yeah, are you looking at projected odds for the 4-1?
Yeah, 4-1. It's 6-1 now, projected to go off at 4.
Okay.
So just to mention a few other horses, there's 2 others in here that I'm kind of interested in that have decent prices. One is the 4 Fantail, who started its career in Europe. It's had a few starts here in the U.S. It kind of had a lot of trouble when they tried to sprint it and its debut, and then since then it's routed twice. But it just looks like a horse that wanted to cut back anyway, and now they cut back here. It has some tactical speed, and Baltus is a good trainer. Kyle Fry, he's a good rider. And, that horse, I think, is projected to go off at 7 or 8-1. Let me check. 7-1 projection. That seemed like a pretty square price on that horse as well. He's got a good workout since the last. And, to me, that's one of the horses that's going to be on the front end that if the horses I think will be forwardly placed, that's the one I like. And it's always an advantage to be up front in these 5-furlong turf sprints.
Yeah, I mean, another thing to consider, and the horses are getting a little bit more advanced in age, the 3-year-olds. Now it's August. the Christmas surprise, the 7's getting 6 pounds, not only has speed, but is getting 6 pounds from these older horses. And that could give him an advantage, or her an advantage, versus these more heavily weighted older horses.
So who do you like in this race, Scott? I thought we were trying to talk about some of the others.
She just clicked to 8-1, so now I'm getting excited.
You're getting a surprise.
All right, who else do you like?
The other horse I was looking at in here was the 9-horse Lalique, I think is how you would say that, or Lalique. I'm not sure the pronunciation, but that horse.
Lalique.
Lalique. Okay, I'll go with that. It's French, so maybe that's right. Lalique. That horse ran really big 2 races back, and it was on a 3-race win streak. They stretched it out, and it didn't run as well. It got tired late, but now they cut back. So certainly no reason why that horse can't win. Sprinting on the turf.
I wrote that it was not good value at 7-2, but maybe the projected odds are higher because it's a 7-1 right now.
Yeah, and that's what it's projected to go off at. So that seems like a pretty good price on that horse. So for me, it's Loud Music. And the other 2 I like are the 4 Fantail and the 9 Lalique. Those are probably the ones I'm most interested in. That in a contest, I would go with Loud Music. If I had a second entry, it would be the 4 or the 9. Probably the 4.
All right, let's see who else we got here. I do think that the 2 looks like she has a shot. I think the projected odds are 3-1, so not really much value unless you love the horse. Maybe you're not playing it, but has done some pretty fast running on turf and dirt sprinting.
Yeah, she's
usually
solid.
Is favored. So
yeah, I don't think there's any value there, but certainly a contender. I don't think she's no surprise if she wins, but I'd take the higher prices on some of the others that we talked about before I would play her, but certainly a contender.
All right, well let's take a quick gander at some of the long shots, right? The ones that are capper country. The 3 is Magical Thought, gets in light at 113, and wasn't that slow. As a 2-year-old, was halfway decent. I mean, this horse has a shot, right?
Yeah, I'm not really keen on it, to be honest with you. But yeah, it has a shot, but it'd be a real stretch to me. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, only shows 2 bad races, and one of them stumbled and steadied, and the second one was. Yeah, there's no comment line on it, but okay. So I think the horse has a viable shot, not a big shot. I'm not playing the horse, but let's look at the next capper. That's Roses and Candy, trained by Ronald McAnally. Can this horse get it done?
No, I don't think so. I think if any of these bombers, the one that might have a shot would be the 6-horse. She's a girly girl. That horse has run some races that could compete in here, and she's going from dirt to turf. So maybe she wakes up in here. I don't like her a lot, but of all the bombers, that's who I'd go with. But I mean, I'm getting a $30 horse with Loud Music, so it's not a capper, but that's a pretty good price.
Let's ask ourselves about Anthony Matera and Wendy Long. Who do we go with? Who do you go with if you're Anthony Matera?
Well, based on my opinion of the race, I go with Loud Music for sure. But I would go with who I thought was going to win this race, because he can't play defensively anymore. Wendy Long can catch him. And if I were Wendy, I'd be playing Loud Music, because that horse would win the contest or win the day money for me probably. They're about
if you were anybody in the top 10, you'd be playing Loud Music.
Yeah, obviously, but it just happens to be a race where I really like that horse.
Yeah. I'm going to say the same thing about my 7. Like her chances a lot, and they're about to spring the gates. So
We'll see what happens.
We're going to find out what happens. I'm going to get ready to reload this screen and see what happens and see who's going to win the day money in the Spa Surf Showdown on the Spa Surf Showdown show. All right, they're still loading in the gate. This is a great way to end the day, and there they are. They're off. It's hopefully, for me, Christmas music gets out there and not showing that much speed in third. Let's reload the leaderboard. Anthony Matera takes Fantail. Wendy Long takes Isn't She Lovely, the 10 horse. That's an interesting conservative pick.
Yeah, that wasn't going to get her the win. She's just trying to finish second. She didn't go for it. That's surprising.
Wow.
She didn't even go for take a chance to win at all.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah.
So Gregory Callowag also takes Fantail, the 4.
All right. Well, here comes the cavalry charge at the end. The 2's been leading all the way.
Here comes the 4. The 4's moving.
It's looking like it's a battle between the 2 and the 1, and the 2 is going to take him gate to wire. It's sort of a boring race and kind of an obvious pick, but no, and a few people had that. Greg Bone had that.
Greg Bone had that, and that might be enough for him to get third place day money.
Yeah.
And Basil DeVito that's going to be enough to get him into. No, he may not get
finish just out of the money. But that was a pretty boring race. The 2 horse just no one went with it early, and it was gone. A little surprising that there wasn't somebody up there pushing that pace.
The horse definitely made sense.
She was fantastic.
We're gonna have to see what the payoffs were here. Who had the 1? Brian Graziano, who was in 11th. That won't do that much for him.
Yeah, that was a pretty boring finish in terms of the leaderboard. The only change will be, I think, Greg Bone is going to nudge his way into third and pick up some extra day money. I think he was in the money anyway.
He may. It's going to be close at 9-5.
Ooh, right? That horse really got hit late, didn't it?
Yeah, so it's going to be like 580 plus. Hopefully, he's going to need at least $4, maybe $5.
Wow, that horse really got hammered late. That was one of those late odds changes after the horse opens up 3 lengths in the first quarter. The horse was like 5-2 until they hit the quarter pole.
All right, well, they are coming back, and I'm going to keep an eye out to see when it's official. Then we can reload the leaderboard. It's a little anticlimactic way to finish the first day.
But congratulations to Anthony. He had a great day, and he's in a great spot for tomorrow. Not only he's got the day money, he's in a great spot to win that triple bonus, and he could win, the big money for the contest itself. And Wendy Long had a nice finish. I'm a little disappointed in that last pick. I don't understand that at all. That really didn't give her a chance to do much of anything.
Well, she may have loved the horse. I don't even remember the horse, to be honest.
Yeah, it figured. I mean, it was one of the favorites. It was a morning line favorite, but I mean, she had no chance to catch Anthony, and that horse wouldn't even have hurt her if it won. Greg Callowag wouldn't have caught her, even if he had that horse. So she didn't block anybody, and she didn't have any chance to move up with that horse. So I don't quite get it, unless you said like she just absolutely loved the horse. That just from a contest strategy standpoint, that choice doesn't make any sense to me. That would not have been my play at all in that position. Other than that, she's in a great spot for tomorrow, and we'll file that away for the end game in the second day, because she has a good chance she might be up there in contention. And she certainly didn't make a very aggressive play.
The race is official. Let's see what happens. And no, the results are not in yet. Let's try it again. And the results still aren't in, so it's official, but the prices have not come out yet.
Yeah, at that short.
Sometimes the last race of the day, the prices take a while to be posted. And Greg Bone did not quite make it. He came up about 70 cents shy.
Ouch.
Of the third place money. So congratulations to Anthony Matera, who takes down the $16,000 day money, and to Wendy Long, who takes down $9,000 in day money. Either way, no matter what happens, at least they got some money in their pocket. And Gregory Callowag ends out with about, what is it, $4,000?
20, let's see. Good.
$4,900.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wendy Long almost 10,000. And fourth place, Greg Bone. He tried valiantly with Anna Fantastic. He got $1,600 for his efforts.
Yeah, that less than $1 cost him $3,000, a little over $3,000.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a bad beat, but
yeah.
You know, he's got to be happy that he at least got fourth place there.
Oh, and he's in contention for the big money tomorrow. Yeah, I'm sure he's not too unhappy, but that was a little bit tough. Just that, and what was tough on him is when he played that horse, he would have passed him, right? That horse got hit after the race started. The horse's odds dropped, so that was one of those late odds drops where even the projected odds didn't have it that low. There's no way he could anticipate that. He played a horse he thought could move him up. And he just got unlucky with that.
Maybe Gregory Callowag hammered that horse just so he could keep this third place prize money. All right, let's take a quick look at some of the famous names, and when I say famous, I just mean the notable names for this contest because of the bonus situation. Dan Wild ends out 19th after one day, certainly not out of it, and about $75 out. Scott Fiedler, the defending champ, has 122. He's less than $70 out of it. He's in 26th place. And let's see who else. Paul Sherman sneaks into the top 50. He winner of the inaugural Spa Surf Showdown. He had Anna Fantastic. So it's really interesting that Paul Sherman, you know, as he said in our interview, which will air tomorrow, he said that if you don't do that well, don't panic. And apparently he did not panic because he ended up going with that 9-5 favorite.
Yeah, he must have a towel, and it says, and a book, and the first page in that book says, "Don't panic." That's the Hitchhiker's Guide to Playing Contests. For those of you, so those of you that all get that inside joke if you're a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy fan.
9:20 to cap off the day for Paul Sherman, who's in the top 50. So that's a pretty good day of racing. I would expect that tomorrow there'll be some more capper country. Certainly, I know that based on going through and handicapping, it looks like there's a lot of opportunity. I think the bombs probably will fly tomorrow.
Well, they didn't fly today. I mean, for 20 races, you know, we had no cap horses. The leaderboard is pretty scrunched up. So there's a lot of people that are still in contention, especially if the bombs start to drop tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, you have some really big fields at Saratoga tomorrow. Yeah. I mean, the average field size is like 11. It's pretty impressive. So I would guess that it's, you know, there will be some, you know, some cappers tomorrow, but we will see, and we will be following along when it happens.
That's right. Hopefully we'll have you join us in the last 4 races. Hopefully by then, a couple of our live long shots that we pointed out earlier in the live stream today will have come in, and some of the players on the leaderboard will have benefited by picking those horses, and we'll have an exciting finish.
And aside from handicapping, we also have some interviews tomorrow. They're not too long. One is with Paul Sherman, the inaugural winner of the Spa Surf Showdown. The other is another is with the defending champ, Scott Fiedler, who won last year. And then we also have Alan Levitt, who's in contention for the $1 million bonus. We also have a short interview with him. So one of the things that we asked them is contest strategy and how they come up with long shots. I look forward to playing that tomorrow and also handicapping the end of this contest.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I actually think the cards might be better. The Del Mar card, a little disappointing today. I think it's actually better tomorrow, so it should be a good finish.
Absolutely. So thanks, everybody, for joining us today for day one of the Spa and Surf Showdown show. We'll see you again at 7:30 Eastern Time tomorrow.